Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I want to make a video about Chris Watts and the people involved in the case and about some information that I think is important that the DA completely overlooked. And I'm hoping that the more YouTubers and the more people in general that raise awareness about this, that perhaps with a new DA, that these issues might be investigated. Um, from my understanding, the current district attorney is Mr. Rourke, and he, I believe, will serve another term as he has no other opponent. But in time, he might be replaced, and with a fresh set of eyes, maybe some of the issues that people are raising um, can be investigated. And I want to say a disclaimer right now. I am not diagnosing anybody. I am not stating anything as fact. These are all assumptions and opinions, and I am merely speculating about what could be happening about a situation like this. So none of this is, please do not take this as fact. This is merely speculation. Um, so, as you can see on the screen here, I have conduct disorder. And I have this up for a reason because conduct disorder is a disorder that um, is the precursor to antisocial personality disorder. Antisocial personality disorder is what people usually know as sociopathy or psychopathy. So, I'm going to read to you what conduct disorder entails. And why I think this is relevant is because NK, Nicole K. Kessinger, um, stabbed a woman when she was 16 years old. I believe, from my understanding, as the story goes, a family friend walked into her home. Nicole Kessinger was on the couch giving oral sex to a man, and Nicole stabbed her and was arrested for felony assault. The woman did not pass away, fortunately. So let's talk about conduct disorder. It is a repetitive and persistent pattern of behavior in which the basic rights of others or major age appropriate societal norms or rules are violated, as manifested by the presence of at least three of the following criteria in the past 12 months from the from any of the categories below, with at least one criterion present in the past 6 months. So we have aggression to people and animals as one category. Often bullies, threatens, or intimidates others. Often initiates physical fights. Has used a weapon that can cause serious physical harm to others, like a bat, brick, broken bottle, knife, gun. Has been physically cruel to people. Has been physically cruel to animals. Has stolen while confronting a victim. Example, mugging, purse snatching, extortion, armed robbery. Has forced someone into sexual activity. Then we have destruction of property. Has deliberately engaged in fire setting with the intention of causing serious damage. Has deliberately destroyed others' property other than by fire setting. Deceitfulness or theft. Has broken into someone else's house, building, or car. Often lies to obtain goods or favors to avoid obligations, like conning others. Has stolen items of non-trivial value without confronting a victim, shoplifting without breaking and entering, and forgery. Serious violations of rules. Often stays out at night despite parental prohibitions beginning before age 13 years. Has run away from home overnight at least twice while living in the parental or parental surrogate home, or once without returning for a lengthy period. Is often truant from school beginning before age 13. The disturbance in behavior causes clinically significant impairment in social, academic, or occupational functioning. If the individual is age 18 years or older, criteria are not met for antisocial personality disorder. So if the individual is age 18 years or older, criteria are not met. Okay, so um this is usually the precursor to antisocial personality disorder. In fact, you cannot get diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder without having a conduct disorder in your history. Um, and of course, they don't always evaluate an adult with antisocial personality disorder having had a diagnosis of conduct disorder. So they can diagnose based on symptoms that the child or the youth had um, as a young teen. So I think this is important because it speaks to who Nicole Kessinger could be as a person. Um, and a lot of people have speculated that she was a lot more involved in the murders, and there's a lot of evidence that points to this. Unfortunately, the district attorney chose not to pursue any type of charges at all, even though her phone, I believe it could have been restored by the FBI after she wiped it. However, they chose not to restore it. They did gain some information from her phone. I believe she was on a call with Chris the morning of the murders. I believe she was also on the speakerphone when Chris was speaking to the officer on the way over to the home the morning that Shanann was reported missing. And I also believe that her phone pinged near the site of the murders. So there is a lot to look at in terms of Nicole Kessinger. Um, and I want to look at one of her interviews. It was her second interrogation. So let's pull that up for you all. Bear with me one moment as I pull this up. Okay. So, okay. Here we go. Let's just listen in to her interrogation. One thing that I found really interesting about her was that she was very laissez-faire in her interview, um, in the first interrogation. She, if somebody found out the man that they were having an affair with had just, allegedly murdered his entire family, including two little kids, I would think that one would be horrified. One would be horrified, they would be repulsed, they would not be jovial and, calmly joking around with the police. So let's take a look at her interrogation, or excuse me, interview. It was not an interrogation. Let's see here.
I was a witness. I didn't tell them anything about that. It was just like, just say no comment. I need you to do this.
Okay.
And then a couple of my super, super close friends, I asked them if they would be courteous enough to take all the pictures that we had of each other off Facebook and social media, and they said yes, and that was like a couple of really close friends.
Is there any text messages between you and friends that reference anything that would be concerning regarding this case?
No.
Like talking about Chris? I think you've told me that you've never even really talked with
my friends about him. No, and like my friend's dad died last night, like yesterday.
I'm not worried about that.
No, I know, but she started like, oh my god, she was really drunk last night. She started like freaking out. She's like, I don't know what's going on in your life. She's like, I don't know if it pertains to this case. And she like just sent me like a screenshot of a news article of that case, and she was just like She's like,
What about conversations?
I didn't mention that it had anything to do with that. She's like, I don't know if that's what it is. He works at Anadarko. She's like, I really don't give a shit. She's like, I just really need you to be here with me and my dad and this and this and this. And she was just kind of upset because I had asked her, to please say no comments in the media, and it happened to be like right when her dad died, and I think she was feeling a little like, yeah, but I mean, you guys can read this. There's nothing in there of me actually saying anything about it. I just told
What's
her.
your phone number on that phone?
720, it's the same phone number that's on this one, 456-9605. So no, I mean, you guys can look
So
at it.
there was a conversation that I asked you about between you and Charlotte too.
That's the same girl.
That same girl who was freaking out.
Yeah.
So was there ever a conversation about kids with you and Charlotte? Like I can't remember the exact context, but you guys were talking.
Hanging out with a guy who had kids.
Okay. And
she has not even like
Wait, all right. So your conversation about him having kids, how did that go?
I mean, I don't know, I just told her,
Is it still, did you delete that or is it still in there?
No, I have no reason to delete anything else on my phone. The
Okay.
reason I deleted all this stuff with Chris is because he was making me feel really uncomfortable and I didn't want to see it in my phone anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, let me scroll all the way back here. We're in the scroll.
Okay, so the reason I deleted all that stuff with Chris is because he was making me feel really uncomfortable and I didn't want that stuff in my phone anymore. Does that sound normal? Does that sound like something somebody would do if they just found out the person that they were dating had, violently murdered his whole family? Um, no, it doesn't. If anything, you would want to present everything you could to police to uh, clear your name. You don't want to appear suspicious. And another thing that I found odd is Nicole is thinking about herself. You know, how will, I don't want this in my phone. Oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable. The average person, I want to say, would be thinking, oh my gosh, this man just murdered his whole family. Oh my gosh, those poor babies were, horribly killed. This is horrific. That's what they would be thinking. So let's proceed.
Blah, blah. No, she is like.
So let's just, while we're here, because we talked about this before, but we didn't talk about the specific context of what that message said regarding to children. So obviously, the situation that we're looking at now with the death of 2 children and all the other circumstantial stuff going around in the case, I just want to make sure there was no comments ever made by you regarding, children or dislike of children or love of children, either way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. Let me find it. I think this is where this starts. You guys can just take whatever you want off of there.
So it's easier for me to just take everything than it is to single.
So this is really important. The question about dislike of children. Um, I believe, and this is my opinion, that one of the possibilities or likelihoods is that Nicole told Chris that, if you want to be with me and start a life with me, great, but I don't want to deal with an ex and I don't want to deal with kids. It is known that on her phone there were searches from 2017, a year prior to her even meeting Chris. So that's obviously very unusual. She claims she never, knew about Chris or didn't meet him until 2018. Yet we have these searches on her phone. And I believe in a report that one police report said that it was a typo, but it was later clarified by the district attorney that it wasn't a typo, that there were searches on her phone from 2017 and they could not explain that. And the reason the police could not explain that was because they didn't investigate it. They did not investigate further. Once Chris signed that plea deal, all investigations stopped. And even Tammy from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation said this case felt unfinished. There was more investigating to do, but because that plea deal was signed, we were told to cease all investigation. Um, and it is possible that Nicole's father had some connection to somebody powerful that he was able to protect his daughter from investigation. And even during the first interview, he explicitly stated, as long as Chris signs that plea deal, all of this goes away, right? And that shows that the father was possibly, I don't know if he was aware of Nicole's behavior or potential involvement, but certainly he was aware that his daughter would be best served to not be investigated. Why? We don't know. But again, there's evidence out there that I have mentioned and that others have mentioned online that points to her involvement. And I want to pull up something really quickly also while we're on this matter. There's a master list somebody made of all the things that Nicole um, has done that are suspicious. So let's check that out right now. Okay, so this is a master list here, and I'll read it to you. So at the beginning of the case, okay, this person talks about how they were on the side of Nicole Kessinger, but there were some things that started to make them question what was going on with Nicole Kessinger. And after failing the polygraph, Chris gives up remarkably easy and confesses to the crimes. Why? And I agree about this. I think he was trying to protect Nicole. Um, Perhaps because the police immediately halted their investigation afterwards, as I cited earlier. If Chris were a sociopath capable of killing his pregnant wife and young children, would he really confess so easily? And I've talked about this in a previous video. Chris does not have antisocial personality disorder at all. You don't just develop antisocial personality disorder one day out of your lifetime. There are symptoms that accompany it throughout your entire lifetime, and like I said, it's preceded by conduct disorder. Chris meets none of the criteria for antisocial personality disorder. In one of the interviews with, you can find an interview, Chris's prison interview with Tammy from the CBI and DA Rourke. I'm not sure if there were other people present, but they even said, this case has been weighing on us because Chris is different. This stands out. Chris is different. Chris doesn't fit the mold. What they mean is he doesn't fit the mold. He's not a psychopath. Even I know it's so hard for people to comprehend that somebody could do such a horribly evil deed and not be a psychopath or sociopath. It's so much easier to put them in that box so we can reconcile why they did this. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Something caused him to snap, and I believe it was a combination of him being dependent on Shanann and then dependent on Nicole, possibly having dependent personality disorder where he would defer to strong women in his life and be extremely submissive and conflict avoidant. And once he fell out of love with Shanann and fell into the arms of Nicole, she manipulated him into believing that he was an equal part in their relationship. He could finally voice his opinions on things. And oh, by the way, I don't want to deal with an ex wife and kids. She was seethingly jealous of them. She flipped out when she went into his home and saw pictures of his kids on the wall and his wife. So, in his own home, mind you. So yeah, let's go back to the master list. Okay. So the list says Kessinger claims when she met Watts at work, she was unaware he was married because he didn't wear a wedding ring around her. He eventually mentioned his wife and children, but Kessinger claims he said he and Shanann were separated. She said she discovered Watts was still married when she was watching a news report about his missing wife and children. She also says she discovered that Shanann was pregnant through the news report. That is a lie. That is a lie. Computer records show that Nicole frequented Shanann's Facebook page, where Shanann announced her pregnancy and made frequent updates about her family. No one was looking at Shanann's Facebook page no one who was looking at her page would be under the impression she was nearing the end of a mutual divorce, as Nicole claimed. Chris and Nicole met at Anadarko Petroleum, the same place Chris returned to hide the bodies of his wife and children. As a safety officer, Nicole knew tons of information about the site Chris worked at, including that it was a perfect site to possibly commit insurance fraud, which would require the kind of explosion that would destroy bodies and evidence. Now, there are other videos that talk about the plan that was in place that was not carried out. And there's speculation that he had planned to uh, cause an explosion at the site to hide the evidence of the bodies and Shanann's burial grounds. So the first time Kessinger says she felt anything was off about Watts was the night of Shanann's murder. Before Shanann got home from her business trip, Chris and Nicole FaceTimed. Chris was lying on his bare mattress. Since it was late at night, Nicole said she thought that this was strange. When the bodies of his victims were recovered, they were wrapped in sheets. The phone call was 111 minutes long. Nicole has not been able to tell police what they talked about during this call, though she was interviewed less than 72 hours later. That is alarming. Anybody would be able to remember what they spoke about for over an hour to their actually almost 2 hours. Um, only 3 days later, knowing that this major crime just occurred, that call would be imprinted in your mind. Kessinger claims that after Watts appeared to be too casual about his family missing, she contacted the police and told them about the affair. However, this was after police were already informed about the affair by a supervisor at Anadarko Petroleum. So she caught wind that she had been reported as the mistress, and that's why she called in. It wasn't because she was doing a good deed. Nicole has no alibi for the time of the murders. Even though her relationship was only 2 months long, police discovered wedding dress shopping along with phrases like marrying your mistress and man, I'm having an affair with says he will leave his wife. In her Google search history, police also found that she had been searching Google for Chris Watts as early as August 3rd, 2017, almost a full year before she claimed they spoke for the first time, and months before she met him. So, yeah, remember I said that. The morning of the murders, a neighbor saw a truck similar to the one Nicole owned outside the Watts home. At that time, Nicole's phone pinged at a tower in Frederick, Colorado, where the Watts family home was. Kessinger lived in a town 25 minutes away. Nicole tried to destroy her SIM card before giving her phone to investigators. She also deleted text messages and photos of Watts, and her search history shows her looking to see if the cops would be able to read her deleted messages. Records show that Nicole and Chris were in close contact the night before, morning of, and the day following the murders. Chris told law enforcement that he tried to subdue Shanann with OxyContin. Oh, yeah, this is a big one. So, mm, Chris had apparently tried to um, cause the fetus to abort, with the OxyContin. And as it says here, the police were not able to establish how he could have gotten OxyContin as it had not been prescribed to him. He said where the OxyContin came from is a secret he will take to the grave. And again, I believe Chris's vehement desire to protect Nicole is indicative of exactly this. Him trying to cover up who gave him the OxyContin because he doesn't want Nicole to be found out. This text from Nicole to Chris that says, I want to be a part of it. Beating your life is something I crave. What does that mean? I want to be a part of it. I mean, that could mean I want to be a part of your life, but it could also mean I want to be a part of the murders. I don't know about that one. That one is, I need more clarification on. Nicole also Googled how much Amber Frey's net worth was. Amber Frey was the mistress of Scott Peterson, as we know, who was convicted of murdering his pregnant wife, Lacey, and who is actually, the Innocence Project has recently taken his case on, so that will be in the news soon again. There may be security footage of Nicole at the Watts home from the morning of the murders. I believe security footage has been wiped. Some of the security footage has been wiped. In her interview, Kessinger avoids saying the names of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, or Nico. This is a common tactic to distance yourself from someone you have wronged. That is true. Since Chris Watts confessed to the crimes, Nicole Kessinger has deleted her social media, left her job, and moved away from the community. She may be in the witness protection program. And as we will look over back in this video, she does mention that in the video. So let's start playing the video again.
Now, plus, for the purposes of this case, the less exposure, we already have, initially, you drew concern from me when you told me you deleted everything from Chris. I've already told you that. You understand why. There's no question as to why that might cause concern. So if there's anything else that ever comes up, I have it, and then we can just discuss it. Do you understand what I mean? All right.
It's right here. This is where it starts. She starts right there. She starts talking about her and her fiance. So that was like weeks ago. And she hasn't brought it up since, really, or like connected the dots, or like said shit. I mean, you guys can look through all those texts. And I don't know when that was. That was definitely when things were going good. So this is like weeks prior, I'm just assuming. I think the day is at the top of whenever we started texting that day.
Looks, this is
We talk a lot.
August 7th.
Yeah.
So I reference everything to Sunday.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit.
Kids, and then all right.
Because he told me that he had spoke to her when he was in North Carolina about it, and then the next day she was the one who called the realtor.
When you say Shanann,
Yes.
and when you say the time frame they came back from North Carolina, you don't remember the specific dates, but it was like the first or second week of August?
Yeah, I think I told you guys when they left. I think he left on Tuesday the 31st of July.
I do remember you saying that.
And I don't remember when he came home. I really don't. I don't remember if it was like...
So is this a phone conversation or is this a text conversation?
No, this happened over the phone, and he told me that, that was when I had said, hey, when you go to North Carolina, I really think you should try to fix things with your wife. And he kept asking, well, what about us? And I was trying to kind of take a step back and see if he would.
Okay, I've got to pause this. Um, Nicole Kessinger claims that she really wanted him to work on his relationship with his wife. And, are you sure you want to do this? I mean, gosh, you have such a wonderful family. Said no mistress ever. I mean, really? I mean, I can't believe the police didn't challenge her on that. Um, Clearly they received orders from somebody not to not to press her, not to press her at all, because this is, I mean, this is not an interrogation. This is consensual questioning. Um, and she's considered a witness, right? A witness. So they did not deploy any interview tactics with her at all. Um, but I am just shocked that they wouldn't press her on that, because I mean, it's kind of laughable, and it's really condescending. I mean, you think we're supposed to believe that you didn't want to be with him and didn't want him to leave his wife? I mean, for goodness sake, she was Googling, having an affair with a married man, wedding dresses. Um, she probably Googled, how to get a man to fall for you. I mean, she was very manipulative. So this is just evidence of her manipulation. She's manipulating the police right now. Um, so let's continue.
Fix things before attempting to pursue things with me, because I wanted to know that if all of these things he's saying, like, yes, we're getting separated, and yes, all of these things that he's saying are happening, I wanted to know that it was like, you were doing this like you said you were prior to me coming in your life, and it had nothing to do with me, and so for me, it was like, I really wanted them to fix it. I would have just, left the situation.
So tell me why Shanann calling a realtor and him mentioning that they were going to be divorced. Why do you think it's important?
Because, so after that, he was like, she's the one who called the realtor, and I remember, I was like, damn, that was fast, because I knew he told me, like, we were gonna put the house up, but they said, he was like, we didn't know how much to offer for it, and we were kind of trying to find somebody, and so for the first few weeks that I hung out with him, he kind of, dragged his feet on, hey, this is happening, and then after North Carolina, he's like, yeah, she wants to put the house up, she's the one that called the realtor, and I was like, kind of taken back, not necessarily at the speed of it, given how long he said that they'd been separating, but the fact that she did it the day after he supposedly sat down and had a conversation with her about, hey, do we fix this or do we not fix this relationship?
So do you remember how many days she was back in Colorado before leaving? Do you know that?
Because I don't remember when they got home.
Right.
I don't.
I'm just trying to get your memory jogged there on that. But so this was.
I don't remember when I got home. She uses a lot of vocal fry. I don't know. It's a tactic to kind of elicit sympathy and um appear kind of, not soft, but more, I don't know. It's a tactic to elicit sympathy, vocal fry, as opposed to speaking clearly like a mature adult. She's speaking like a sweet, like, I don't know, just ridiculously manipulative.
They get home. He had told you, North Carolina, that they agreed to it, and they're finalized their relationship.
Yeah.
They get home, and she immediately wants to sell the house.
Yes, and then, so, I mean, I started thinking, okay, well, I know in Colorado, houses sell very fast here, so I was like, what's your plan? you know? And I was like, because you might want to be prepared. And I remember that's when the whole concept came up of, you probably need to start looking for a new place pretty quick. And that was when he was kind of overwhelmed with it. And I told him, I was like, look, like I just moved a few months ago. And I was like, to find a place that was comfortable for me, it was like, it took like a lot of research. And that's when I offered to help. I was like, I'll help you. And he seemed pretty gung-ho about it for like the first week. And he seemed very grateful. And I was putting in work on it. And I was like calling him and kind of letting him know about places. And there really wasn't that many options in Brighton. I found one. I actually texted it to myself before I texted it to him because I still have that in my phone too. Because I found it and it was great, but it was like right at the beginning of my search, and I was like, I don't want to inundate him.
So you said a week. You think you worked on that for a week?
No, I honestly only probably spent like a few hours over a few days and just trying to like line it up.
Just trying to think about how many days she had been back while you were working on that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
So you said, did you actually work on it for a week straight?
No.
Okay.
It was just like a couple days after work, I would just like spend a couple hours if I had time, like at the end of my day, or if I didn't go to the gym, and just sit down. And I mean, I can give you a date on one that I worked on because I texted that one to myself. This one, I loved this one. When is this? Saturday, August 11th.
That's the night you guys went out?
Yeah.
To the lazy dog?
Yes.
Or the two lazy dogs?
Yes.
All right. What else?
Yeah, so the reason that this is important is because he, like, up to that point, seemed like he was all about it, you know, and I was respecting him. I wasn't like, oh, you need to get this, you need to get that. I was like, what city do you want to live in? What side of town is she staying in? You know, how close do you want to be to work? How close do you want to be to your kids? I mean, I asked him everything. I just wanted him to have something that was accommodating for his whole family. And he told me that she was probably going to stay in the Frederick area, but he never said for sure. The first time I asked him, he's like, I don't know where she's going to go, but she'll probably stay in this area. And I was like, Chris, if you're going to get an apartment, like, you need to figure that out, because the last thing you want is to be like an hour drive from your kids. It's like, you know, you gotta be close. And so, I ended up asking him again, like a couple days later, and that was when, he was like, I think she's staying in the Frederick area, and I was like, okay. And that's when I was like, starting to get details, like, where, and if you guys find my text, you'll see it, where I'm asking, like, where do you want to live? Like, how close do you want to be to work? Those things, like, you know, do you...
Notice how she has no problem referring to text messages that don't implicate her at all, you know? Chris, where do you want to live? You know, Chris, what do you blah blah blah. She will certainly not point to text messages that would implicate her. Um, like for example, the ones that she deleted. So that's something that people that are guilty of something often do. They want to highlight things that they know are not going to indict them, and they will, veer away or steer investigators away from something that could um, get them in trouble. So let's proceed.
What gym you go to? Like, what are you looking for?
We talked about this previously.
Yeah. So the thing was he was like super gung ho about it, and then on Saturday, that day, I remember being outside with him when this conversation happened, but I don't know where. I don't know if we were like walking into the restaurant or walking to the car, but I like vaguely remember being outside with him, and I was like, he had told me that he wanted to go look at some places that upcoming week.
Mm-hmm.
And we were supposed to go do that on Wednesday. And I was like, I asked him, I was like, what places do you want to go see? And I was like, did you really like that place that I showed you? Because it was just like super convenient for everything. And it had a little playground and it had a pool. Like it would have been awesome for his kids. And it was cheap. And it was like close to Frederick. It was close to the gym. It was close to work. It was close to me. It was close to everything. And it was in Brighton, which is what he wanted. And so, I was like, did you want to go check that place out? And he's like, yeah, I guess. And he like didn't seem sure anymore. And that was the part that I wanted to tell you. I just figured I'd give you all the backstory.
Sure. So he's not sure about the particular apartment or about even leaving?
So he told me that he looked at it and he told me that he thought it was nice, but he didn't really seem like his interest was that piqued. And I was like, well, did you find anything that you really wanted to look at? And he told me, yeah, that he found a few, but nothing that really, really piqued his interest. And I was like, we might want to get started. And he's like, well, I found
your phone store, that's what they use. Sometimes they used to do this. They used to move your stuff back and forth. It's the same thing. They're going to take that information, and then an examiner who is skilled in looking at cell phone data is going to look at it to try to recover the deleted material that we're after.
I hope that they can get
the deleted material is what I'm after.
I know it is. I feel so bad that I did that. I didn't even, honestly, like, that's not even what I was thinking about. I was just did not want, like, any presence from him.
So
See, I mean, I hope people are picking this up. The investigators explaining to her how they comb through a phone when they are, downloading somebody's cell phone, and she's talking about how, oh, I deleted stuff, oh, I'm so sorry, I deleted stuff because, that's not what I was thinking at all. I was merely thinking about, oh, I was so put off by him that I didn't want any pre- you know presence of him on my phone. Like, this is so incredibly manipulative, disingenuous. um I just I once again, why didn't the investigator challenge her? This is absurd. Nobody in their right mind would believe this. Somebody just killed their family, and you are going to delete information and expect us to believe it's because, oh, you just don't want the presence of them on your phone? No, it's ridiculous. You know very well that the police are going to be investigating you because you're close to him, obviously, and you would gladly turn your phone over. And granted, I want to be careful here because I do believe people have the right to an attorney and have the right to not self-incriminate. Um, that said, if you're not going to request an attorney and you are going to turn your phone over, or even if the police get a search warrant, if you have nothing that you did wrong, you're not going to delete information because it does look incriminatory. Just absurd.
you're okay with us doing
Just
everything?
take the whole phone. Just take it. Because I feel like we've been
I'm
trying
going to
do
put
this, like,
all data on here just
yeah,
for
just
ease,
take what
okay?
you need,
So read that and make sure you sign it, that you understand that we're going to take all the data. Once I have all that stuff, I'll get your phone back to you.
That's okay. I mean, I'm not even going to use it anymore. I'm going to just use this.
Okay. I'm going to still get it back to you as soon as we're done.
Okay.
All right. So next week sometime maybe,
Okay.
or the week after or something somewhere in that time frame, okay?
Okay.
All right. Relax for a minute. I'll be back in a sec.
All right, let's fast forward. Actually, let's see what she does. She's thinking about, what did I delete? What are they going to find?
I got it.
She knows she's been recorded.
I remembered, by the way. I got it.
Remember what?
In my head, what I needed to tell you.
Okay.
Okay. So, hi.
Hi, I'm Matt.
I'm
Nice to meet you.
Hello. So this is my original phone
Okay.
that these guys would like to have.
Mhm.
I have a lot of contacts on here that are not on the phone that I'm currently transferring to, like a
Okay.
lot of them.
Uh-huh.
I need some of them.
Right.
It would be greatly appreciated if we could get the contacts from this phone to just go to this phone so that all the text messages and everything have like names and things
Right.
linked to them
Okay.
so that I can. That's all I want to do. And I went to Verizon to switch to this phone, and all they did was give me this little sheet of paper to follow, which seems very simple, and I'm usually pretty tech savvy, except for the fact that I can't get the App Store to work on this phone, and I can't get the Wi-Fi to work on this phone.
Okay.
So that is the dilemma that I'm in.
All right.
But if you would be so kind as to just sync that up, then I can give them what they need, and that
I am not good on phone things.
I'm usually pretty tech savvy. After working in the oil field, you gotta get creative out there. Because they have technology, but you're like in the sticks, so everything wants to malfunction.
So are your contacts on this phone synced to the cloud, to iCloud?
I don't know.
Okay.
You guys, I'm gonna pause this. This video is getting quite long, so we can continue watching the second part of her interrogation together another time. I also want to react to the prison interview with Chris and Tammy, the CBI agent, and DA Rourke. That is a really, really interesting video that we can react to together, watch together, and discuss. So that will probably be the next thing that I upload, unless we want to finish this together. And let me know in the comments what you are interested in watching. We can, like I said, watch the second part of this um, this interview with Nicole Kessinger, or we can do that, and then we can also watch and discuss the Chris Watts prison interview. So that's it for now. Thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Again, I'm new to um, recording in this manner and screen sharing and still getting used to technology, just like good old Nikki was getting used to her new phone transfer. And so thank you for bearing with me, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Please take care of yourselves, and um, don't forget to be grateful for every moment. Life is short. Love your loved ones now, and take care of yourself. Okay, thank you.